All right, Frankie Familia, time now to continue talking about this game on Sunday. Jets suffered a heartbreaking loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers and old friend Aaron Rodgers, who after the game wanted to take some shots at us. Okay, that's fine, old man. Let's move on down the road and forget about all that and let's continue focusing on our team because it's really about the development of this team under Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji and the roster that they built. And do we have a regime in place that we can trust going forward? And early returns, it's mensa mensa. Mensa mensa. Let's start off by looking at some PFF grades because these grades here really confirm what our eyes told us. Let's start with the defense, for example. Quinnen Williams had a dominant game. Okay, great. The old Quinnen is back. If it's Quinnen, you're winning. All right, good. Sauce Gardner, the old Sauce Gardner's back. Had a great game. Okay, Will McDonald played really well. Run defense still needs work. Jermaine Johnson, really solid in his return from injury. Played 50 snaps. 50. One of the highest totals on our team. He basically played the entire game, which is unusual for a defensive lineman. So they asked a lot of him in his first game back, and he played very well. You can see here, if you sort this by pressures, he had the second most other than Quinnen. So, he didn't record a sack. Will McDonald got 2 of those. Quinnen got 1, and Quincy got 1. But he had the second most pressures. So, a very nice game, first game back. And Cisco played well. Francisco Mauagoa Kiko, he's our linebacker 3 now. He only played 3 snaps. We were mostly a nickel. 7 snaps. We were mostly a nickel this game. So we saw a lot of Michael Carter because they were in 11 a lot. And, of course, Rodgers loves to throw. Quincy played okay. Harrison Phillips. Now, the thing about this is that I wanted to talk about. Tony Adams, Michael Clemens, Jay Tufele, Michael Carter, Brandon Stevens. These bottom 5. Now, Michael Clemens has a track record of being good, so I'm going to just assume this was a bad game for Michael Carter. But these other guys, Stevens, Tufele, Clemens, and Adams, have a track record of being bad. And we said all summer these guys are going to kill our defense. That's what we said. I told you guys all summer about this roster and where the problem spots were. I was screaming, we need Zadarius Smith. We need Jadeveon Clowney. We need to pick up edge players. I was telling you guys, we need to improve defensive tackle. And to their credit, Muji and AG went and addressed that with Harrison Phillips, who played okay in his first game, and Juwan Briggs played all right. But good enough, and these defensive tackle grades are probably off for PFF because they don't properly analyze, like eating up blocks and things that free up a player like Quinnen Williams to get a grade of 92 because he's making all the sacks and the tackles and everything else. How much of that is attributed to Harrison Phillips and, Juwan Briggs doing their job? So, we always take these grades with a grain of salt, and we always watch the film. I have watched the game a second time. I will be watching the All-22 today when it comes out. So we always watch the film. But for this video, we're just going to use the grades as a way to get to some of the points that I want to make about some of these players. And this is about roster construction. When you give Brandon Stevens $12 million a year for 3 years, that's a terrible, terrible move, which I called at the time. And I said, instead of doing that, door number 1 was Brandon Stevens. For the same price. Door number 2 was Brandon Eccles, Tyler Conklin, a defensive tackle, and a 4th-round pick. Which door do you want to choose, Darren Muji? And he chose door number 1. Brandon Stevens, for the same price, you could have had 4 things and you got 1. And the one thing you got was the worst cornerback in the NFL last year, one of the very worst. And he played poorly in this game, and he was one of the people who cost us the game. Along with, I'll give Tufele a pass. He's a defensive tackle. Like I said about the other guys, I don't think the grades are going to capture his efforts, really. And I don't think he did anything terrible. Clemens, we all know Michael Clemens. And Tony Adams. if you make that tackle on DK Metcalf, or at least slow him down so that the other guys can rally to tackle him on that one play where he had a big gainer early in the game, 34 yards or so. It was a little tiny pass, behind the line of scrimmage basically, or 5 yards past the line. Adams is right there, gets juked out. You can't do that. That's, one guy making a mistake. And that was on a third down play and that would have been, they would have had to punt and then, et cetera, et cetera. So you just can't have tiny Tony Adams playing a big role on your defense. You want to have him as a backup or special teamer, okay, but he's starting for us. And part of the problem is you have people out here that are available, like Marcus Williams or Justin Simmons is available. Even Jordan Whitehead, I'd go for at this point. John Johnson. But all through the summer, there were even more people available that got picked up along the way. Julian Blackmon and this one and that one. There were all sorts of safeties available. And there are right now. You can improve this team for $5 million freaking dollars with Justin Simmons, and we have the cap space. It's not a problem. 1 year deal, $6 million. Justin Simmons, get him in here. What are we waiting on? Oh, he's too old. He's better than Tiny Adams. Tiny Adams stinks. Has stunk, has always stunk. Get John Johnson. He's a little younger. All right. John Johnson doesn't even have a market value. You can get him for $2 million. Shoot, man. Get any one of these guys. I mean, geez, man, because we've been saying all summer. And that's what's discouraging. We've been saying these things all summer. Now, it's just one game and you don't want to overreact. But it's kind of frustrating when you go all summer saying, we need to improve this, we need to improve this. Here are the people who can improve this. They're available for just money, 1 year deal. Zadarius Smith took a 1 year deal to go to the Eagles. Well, maybe he didn't want to come to the Jets. All right. What about Jadeveon Clowney? See an improvement over Michael Clemens and Tyler Barron? Tyler Barron, he doesn't have bad grades here, but he played 7 snaps. How valuable is that? We had to play Jermaine Johnson 50 snaps because we couldn't trust Tyler Barron to do anything. That's not good. 50 snaps is a lot for a defensive lineman. Quinnen only played 43. Clemens playing 30 snaps. So we got Clemens and we got Barron instead of having Jadeveon Clowney and someone else that we could have taken in the draft, but instead we took Tyler Barron that nobody ever heard of. It was like the 30th ranked defensive end. I mean, come on. So it's just frustrating to see exactly what we were talking about all summer long come to fruition. Now, on offense, we had some really good news. If you look at this, Armand Menbu played really well, unbelievably well, considering the fierce defensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Well, he manhandled them. Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields, this is one of the best games in Justin Fields' career by any measure. We'll go more into it, but by any measurement, this is one of the best games in Justin Fields' career. Now, the entire beat went the entire summer telling you how bad Justin Fields was as a passer and that he's never going to learn how to throw the ball. And he shoved it down everybody's throats and said, look what I can do, which is nice. And it's just one game. He's got to be consistent now, put together some, consistency, game. Keep being awesome, Justin, and keep showing him. But, it just goes to show that you really probably shouldn't trust what you hear out of the beat really for anything other than just facts when they're just telling you this happened or this person said this. Anything where they're opining, you should just probably throw in the garbage or throw tomatoes at them in public. That would be good. Breece Hall also had a great, nice game. And look at Jeremy Ruckert. Okay, maybe Ruckert's becoming useful. He had a couple of clutch catches that I saw. I didn't put up big numbers, receiving wise, but those clutch catches, first downs, that's what we need him to do. If all we need him to do is block, and he blocked okay, run blocking needs some improvement here, but other than that, a nice game for Jeremy Ruckert. Then Tippmann, Myers also played very well. Olu played a little disappointing. Would like to have seen him better, but got beat on one play very badly. And then you see here, John Simpson, had a bad game. Like to see some improvement there. And I would think that Arian Smith and Mason Taylor are going to get more and more involved in the offense as the season moves along. These young rookies, they played well for their first game. They didn't really make any mistakes, no penalties, no stupid mistakes. So good for that. But as time goes on in the season, I expect Mason Taylor to be more involved with the offense, and then Arian Smith to be getting more than 6 snaps. Josh Reynolds, as I told you all summer, is our wide receiver too. Nobody seemed to want to believe me, but people want to believe in magical thinking or something. Now, let's take a look at special teams. Now, something interesting. Our top special teamer is Cam Jones. This is a guy we put in a waiver claim for. Got him over here, and look what he's doing on special teams. Very nice. And Selly, our captain, special teams captain, did a nice job here. All right, so that's good. Now, let's take a look at Justin's passing. If you look at it, the deeper numbers are even better. They have him at 1 big-time throw. I would have had it at 2 at least, but they had 1 big-time throw and 1 turnover-worthy play. That's fine. Average depth of target at 9.2. There was another data analytics squad that had this lower, but 9.2 is just fine. And an adjusted percentage, if you take the drops out, 88.9. So even more accurate than you first look. And then his time to throw, TTT, 3.38. It's a little high, a little higher than you'd want, but any kind of scrambling quarterback like Justin, like Lamar, like Josh, Kyler, anybody, they're generally going to hold on to the ball longer because they're scrambling around and then, a lot of times firing it downfield. So he's going to have, this is going to be higher for him. I'm going to keep an eye on this in terms of what should it be for him as opposed to a pure pocket passer. But overall, just there's very little to find bad about this game by Justin Fields. It was just excellent. Now, if you look at the rushing direction, for example, this is kind of interesting. Let's keep it on Breece Hall. Breece had a great game, but you can see here that he had most of his yards per attempt. His best gainers were going to the left side, over the left guard, middle left, and a little bit middle right. So basically this whole area over here. And that's where Olu was, and that's where John Simpson was, and that's where Josh Myers was. Josh Myers played very well, stepping into center, and we'll take a look at the blocking as well. These were the team totals here. This is Breece Hall. Breece Hall, left guard, 10 yards per carry. Middle left, 5.8. Middle right, 9.7. So same thing. He pretty much mirrored the team. So very interesting that Membu was locking everything down on the right side in terms of pass pro, and the left side was where we were running the ball. Now, if you look at these pass blocking grades, Joe Tippmann, number 1, Membu, second, other than our running backs who did a good job also. Ruckert, this is what we need you to do, Jeremy. Good. Mason Taylor, good. Simpson, okay. Myers did good, did okay. Olu, again, he got beat one time. He allowed too much pressure, but, you're not going to keep the Pittsburgh Steelers out of the backfield completely. If you look at the efficiency grade, which is better to look at, sorted by efficiency here. And some of our guys got 100%, which is the best you can do, like Isaiah Davis, Breece Hall. But Ruckert got 100%, didn't let anybody in. Mason Taylor, 100%, didn't let anybody in. Joe Tippmann, 100% at guard. And, let's see how it works out at guard for Joe Tippmann. He could be our long-term guy that we extend as a guard when the time comes. Membu, 100%. Now, Armand Membu, this is really encouraging. This is a rookie, a young rookie at that, 21 years old, rookie playing his first game in the NFL, and he's playing against T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith and all these high-powered dudes, right? And this is what he does? What? This is fantastic. Are you kidding me? An overall grade of 89, a run blocking grade of 90, which is elite. Both of those grades are elite. And then pass blocking, he got a 78.6 grade, which is excellent. And he got 100% passing efficiency, meaning he gave up no sacks, no hits, no hurries, nothing. Why isn't the grade higher? I don't know. We'd have to ask PFF. But that's why I like to look at the efficiency grade. Josh Myers, 98. That's perfectly fine. That's very good. Now, Simpson and Olu got to do a little bit better. They got us on the left side in terms of pass rush. And that was Highsmith. He's a tough guy. Everybody talks about TJ Watt. Nobody ever talks about Alex Highsmith. That dude can play, man. So they got us on the left side, Simpson, and then Olu didn't have a great game in terms of pass pro. But he did block very well in terms of run. And that's surprising. He's supposed to be better with pass pro. So, yeah, maybe just a down game for the young kid. That's okay. We'll see how he does next time. But very encouraging sign for Membu, considering his age, his experience level, and who he had to play against, the level of competition. This is the highest level of competition he's going to face all year. What, he's going to get better than TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward? I don't think so. Who's got a better line? I mean, maybe the Giants. I mean, very few teams are going to have that many dudes who are that high level. The Giants maybe. So that's all very well and good. Receiving, that's probably about it. There's not much we can see about receiving here. But overall, so that's the main things. I mean, I think the main things to keep in mind. Armand Membu, very good start. Love to see it. Our offensive line in general, very good start. You love to see it. Justin Fields showed everybody what he can do, including the stupid beat writers who told you he was a bum in terms of passing. I think he showed you he's not a bum in terms of passing. He can do it. Now is going to be the key for him is going to be consistency, game after game, drive after drive, and then probably maybe some improvement in the 2-minute game. You notice the best quarterbacks now. We got to be careful with how we judge Justin. He's if we're judging him against elite players, like I was just about to do, like Josh Allen and Lamar and these people, Herbert and Mahomes and all these people, that's not fair. He's not at that. He's not at that level. So you can't. I think this is a good step and something to build on for Justin. But you can't expect him, because I was about to go into the 2-minute offense and the end of the game was a little sloppy and we didn't get it done. And so you could criticize him for that. But that's what the greats do. The greats are the ones who do all the things, and then in the 2-minute, like you saw with Josh Allen last night, in the 2-minute last drive of the game, they kill you. You even saw it with Rodgers against us. The last drive of the game, Rodgers took him down. They kicked a field goal, 60-yarder, but still, and that's what you do when you're able to be in control of the entire game like an elite quarterback is. Well, Justin's not there yet. I mean, he never was there. This is a guy that we're hoping to resurrect into a good quarterback and then eventually get him there. So we got to be careful about how we judge him. But this was a very good first step, showed you what he can do. Now it's about consistency, game over game over game, drive over drive over drive, and eventually get to the mastery where in the 2-minute, he's in control of the entire game, and you get the feeling when you watch the game. And this is something that's really interesting, too. If you watch enough football, now some people who are Jet fans don't watch any other teams, then you're not going to understand this. But if you enjoy football, if you're a football fan and you just enjoy watching football games like the game against the Bills and Ravens last night was an incredible game. When Josh Allen, for example, steps on the field, do you ever feel like he's not going to get a first down, not going to get a touchdown, not going to get a field goal if that's what they need? No, I don't. I think every time he gets stopped and they have to punt, I'm shocked. Now, that's a guy who, when you've watched a lot of football and you've seen bad quarterbacks and mediocre quarterbacks and okay quarterbacks and inconsistent quarterbacks and blah, 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 you get a feeling for who does what and why and what they're doing and what they can do. And with Josh Allen, you feel like the team's never out of the game. Never. It doesn't matter how many points they're down. You can't give that guy any time at all. 0 left on the clock. He's going to come back and kill you. And that's what elite looks like. Now, so we can't judge Justin Fields against that because he's not there yet, clearly. We're trying to resurrect him into something good and then get him to be, hopefully, elite. That would be fantastic. But remains to be seen. So that's where we are in terms of that. We'll probably do some film studies this week, if I'm honest. We'll see how it goes. But a lot of times you can shortcut film study by just looking at the grades. some of the grades. I mean, you do have to put some context and some caveats on these grades because they're not perfect, like with defensive tackles, for example. All right, that being said, let me know what you think about all this in the comment section down below, and I'll see you next time. Please subscribe to the channel.